Hello everyone, I'm Evelyn. I know it's the norm to introduce ourselves in the beginning of every presentation by saying who we are, but please allow me to start by letting you know who I'm not. So I'm not a scientist, at least not a physics scientist, or an environmental scientist, or an agronomist, or any sort of scientist having to do with saving our planet. Me, I'm in marketing. Okay, for some marketing fanatics, marketing is a science. Nothing to do with nature though. Unless you work for WWF or Greenpeace. Let's make it clear. Me, I'm not a scientist. In fact, here I am to talk as a working mother of three that lives in Crete. I'm here to talk about the nature-humans relationship in Crete. As simple as that. Because the thoughts I will be sharing with you today are the thoughts that any inhabitant of this planet might have, even if they don't live in Crete. Which, by the way, my grandfather and his friends thought it's the center of the world. Unlike the well-known, well-traveled writer Nikos Kazantzakis, who admitted that Crete is great as a base that gives you boost to speed up travel and get to know places. I like that. So I was born and raised in Crete and returned after studying and working abroad to help agri-food businesses outreach. All these excellent agricultural products that are produced in Crete could be distributed abroad to foreign countries' consumers that didn't have easy access, and to return this way value to farmers on the island. It's funny that people from cosmopolitan cities like London, New York, and Berlin, even Athens, think of Crete as an island that the everyday routine of us islanders involves sunbathing, swimming, strolling around the coast, having a siesta under an olive tree, and sit for dinner at fantastic meze places. Sounds lovely, isn't it? Well, we in the big cities at Heraklion have our own share of urbanity, I assure you. We spend a lot of time in the office, rarely exercise, not following a proper diet, spending too much time in front of a screen, etc., etc. To tell the truth, me personally, I love urban settings. Even as a kid, I preferred to stay in the city rather than to handpick grapes in the vineyards. It seems that my relationship with nature was underworked ever since. When I was thinking nature, I was picturing myself as Heidi, the girl of the Alps, running up and down slopes full of grass. There is no grass in Crete. My island seemed very rocky at the time, and it still is. Once I was studying in the UK back then, and I ran into an ad commercial, a poster, that was inviting tourists to get to know the unknown rocky Crete inland and not in the famous resorts. I then thought, is there any beauty in my rocky island where we cannot even have economies of scale in agriculture because of our land fragmentation? Is there any beauty inland where there is no salty blue? Our family's summer holidays were always on the beach, never in the mountains. As kids, we loved the sea. We distinguished it from the land, the poor rural areas and the rich coast. We couldn't get the feeling that sea and land are two inseparable halves of the one. As a matter of fact, it was after I became a mother that I started appreciating the flora and fauna of Crete, especially the herbs and spices that make the local ecosystem so special. Did you know that there are almost 1800 different kinds of plants on the island, 180 of which are indigenous? 180 indigenous plants. You can only find them in this small piece on earth, as reported from our local National History Museum. Realizing how privileged I was to raise my kids here, I started worrying about the future of this planet, as it seemed to be in direct correlation with their future. It was then that I started gaining consciousness about my part in all this damage that nature is going through due to us humans. Bits by bits, the pieces of the nature disaster puzzle were completed in my mind and most of all in my soul. The signs were there. Climate change is something we started feeling in our everyday lives, yes. Crete used to be an island with excellent Mediterranean climate, with mild winters and cool summers. Even earthquakes were a routine. But they were minimum impact earthquakes that just helped the tectonic plates under Crete to fizzle out. Everything was, as the ancient Greeks call it, in moderation. Nowadays, new damaging words have been included in our dictionaries, such as hurricanes and tsunamis and bushfires. My goodness, Our almond trees blossomed later this year because of the changes in the seasons. It was confusing. Is it January and February? Is it February or March? In Crete, as we live in Earth's middle latitudes, we are accustomed to experiencing four traditional seasons: winter, spring, summer, and autumn, or fall as it's called. We have days with over 30 degrees Celsius in October. This is totally abnormal for Crete. And maybe my friends are thrilled to be able to go to the beach. I have a friend who would post August 78th or something like that to highlight the heat. However, this all is having a negative impact on agriculture and nature. I wonder, as Earth's climate changes, is it time to redefine the four seasons? Would Vivaldi have been outdated today as the concept of four seasons seems to eventually become obsolete? Another milestone in me realizing that I should act was Google search figures comparing 2018 to 2019. Keywords such as organic or ecological that have been the talk of the decade had only gone up by 4 to 7%, whereas the search for the word sustainability had gone up by 429%. The source is Google itself. I was shocked. Sustainability is an extremely rich word. Not only does it include the human care for the environment, but it includes the human attention to one another, the feeling of belonging to a community that blossoms, but also the economics behind it, because everyone needs to be viable in order to be able to appreciate life. Nobody says we need to give up our fun in life. We just need to find alternative ways to have fun, to redefine having fun. F. Zinn is our live well quote that should become our life aim and vision, coming up again and again with another ancient Greek quote, which always make me think that going back to your roots goes way beyond our family tree to the way the ancient Greeks and the Minoans lived their lives, respecting nature, not exploiting it, but yes, making the most of it. Exploiting sounds like, I don't know, having a negative hue on my ears. Fortunately, there's a lot of people on my island that have started transforming their operations to sustainable ones. Winemakers of Crete follow a new vision of sustainability under the guidance of local food experts. Hoteliers become more and more conscious that visitors wish to travel to a sustainable Crete, to hike on the dozens of gorges instead of being caged into the all-inclusive fake paradise, to eat local Cretan cuisine and not fast food, to dive into crystal clear turquoise waters without swimming around wastes, plastic bottles, and so on. Ew, it happens. Several local organizations in the region of Crete raise awareness on how we can all contribute for a greener future. ISA being one of the pioneers, how there is high time to make Crete plastic free. That's a call for action. Count me in. There is a lot going on in Brussels about circular economy, the Green Deal, and new legislations on how European countries can have new laws on the environment, but the issue is not the central government's will, in my humble opinion. The issue is in the enforcement of the laws. We cannot just sit and expect everything from the governments pretending it's someone else's burden. We all need to get responsible. We all need to take care of our home. That's what Crete is for me, my home. We need to start leaving behind plastic toxic materials. Each one of us needs to start thinking about connecting with nature. It's not only about teams, it's about units, persons, each one of us. And the total will add up to make a difference. Looking back at my everyday routine in my not for long safe urban setting, I feel I need to find alternative nature. As every relationship, I need to work for it, to communicate within it, to learn how to read the signs, and make sure I take good care of it, otherwise it won't last as any other relationship would do. Each one of us needs to start from basic stuff that one would think don't matter. For example, we planted an olive tree at the back alleyway of our city office. We put a recycle bin in each hall. We make the most of our space energy as we are in the basement, and this keeps the office naturally cool in the summer with no need of AC. At Chic Greek Gifts, we have also banned the use of Aeroplast in our gifts packaging and replaced it with tissue paper. Plastic needs more than 500 years to get disposed, whereas tissue paper barely needs a month. We can do with a month. We evaluate our suppliers according to their attitude towards the environment, and we give priority to local craftsmen and farmers. We're making a switch to eco-luxury, introducing craft materials, handmade and recycled products. Buying sustainable gifts not only makes you feel good and the recipient feel happy, but also helps address diverse community needs that make a world a better place. So, since we operate in the gifting industry, we thought it's important considering to give something that gives back by doing so. Don't you think? Being a small business at Chic Greek Gifts, we're obviously unable to finance any actions for the environment. But we do support the European Union Green Week and the European Sustainability Academy by taking part in actions to raise awareness and offering our human resources wherever we can. We were so happy to offer hospitality to the bamboo riders last year in our village home in Myrtia, which was one of the stops of the bamboo ride. Well done, guys. Now, all this did not happen because of some legislation that forces our small-sized company to follow a corporate social responsibility program as it does with big companies and their CSR. It was just included in our 2020 resolutions as a will. I'm saying a will and not just as a wish, because wish we leave it up to the fairies. We wanted to add to the planet's protection. We wanted to launch in our souls our own environmental and community-friendly attitude. A change in behavior towards nature cannot be done overnight. You cannot just say, by the way, as of tomorrow we're sustainable. We're no fools. This is something that needs to be a routine, something that we do automatically as a reflex to the ugliness of this humans-nature war. This war is a never-ending one. Humans are the attackers and Mother Nature is the defender of the human's nest. How funny is that? In 2020, we found out the hard way that there's a link between the changing human-nature relationship and its impact on people's health. From a public health perspective, the climate crisis is increasing the spread of certain diseases, and this is what happened with Corona. Corona came to alarm us once more that we need to work for our relationship with nature, because this eventually will be our relationship with our own future. And it's not only because of Darwin's theory of evolution, although there is a strong debate on that. Some people say, and I think there is a misperception in that nature is getting back to humans during the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't believe that. Nature is our guardian angel. What we have experienced, the psychological pressure, the uncertainty for the future, the hundreds of deaths in neighboring countries, let it be the alarm that wakes us up into a better world, a better Crete. I'm working on my relationship with nature. I'm working in making Crete a greener, less plastic and less polluted place. What about you? Thank you.